in engineering, planning, and law. So I'm an attorney focused on natural resources, also studied Indian law. I began my public service over in Bosnia and Kosovo just after the war. I managed the repair of schools and hospitals in Bosnia. Back in the day, you couldn't, the military was not an option because of me being out. And so I worked for a humanitarian organization and worked also with refugees and in refugee resettlement before working in local government. I've served in office before, and right now I actually serve on the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board, followed in Jan's footsteps on that one, serving on that board. We actually had a meeting just today. And then I also serve on a local or regional education service district board. And then just also, a bit about my background and my, Democrats don't often talk about our faith, but it's something that's important to me. I was raised Quaker, and for those of you who are unfamiliar, one of the things that Quaker tradition was known for is a lot of the homes on the Underground Railroad were Quaker homes. So that sense of commitment to community and help and being able to step up during tough times because it's the right thing to do is something that I always try to do. In terms of the vision, the key things that I'm the reason why I'm running and the key things we really need to focus on. And I've been talking about these because they're all in crisis and so many of our families are struggling and hurting, but I really want to actually frame them as positives because we also have this opportunity to lean in, roll up our sleeves and get really tough work done right now. There's the climate crisis that we're facing, but there's also this opportunity to change the trajectory that we're on and also help families recover. I worked actually in wildfire recovery last year down in Southern Oregon, where I led the city of Talent as interim city manager, helped to get them back on their feet after they lost about a third of their homes to wildfire. So this sense of really leaning into the challenges that we face. Another big one is the challenges that our working families are facing. So, people are exhausted. And so it's everything from healthcare and childcare and affordable housing. I'm actually working on an affordable housing project now that may become a model for affordable ownership housing. Education is really important to me and my family. So everything from early childhood education, career and technical education, debt-free community college, some of these things that are common sense investments in our community that help people get back on their feet, I think are really key, as well as our rights, the right to choose, the right for, respect for the LGBTQ community, addressing issues of behavioral health, making sure that people have access to reproductive health and reproductive rights. Abortion, our right to abortion is now being attacked, and making sure that our families have access to those services if needed, I think is really important, is part of the work that needs to be done. And then another big one is our democracy. I never thought, when I was in Bosnia, I remember, well, let me say, when I was younger, I was always critical of our government. There was always something to criticize. And then my time in Bosnia, really, I remember having this epiphany where I thought, we have very much an imperfect system, but it's the best one out there. It just requires us to step up and get involved and make it work. And so, that vision piece is to be able to trust in our government, make sure our voices are heard, that we all have access to the ballot box. And then also democracy works for everyone. We know the history of Oregon and our country, and our democracy has not always been accessible to everyone. So making sure that we're leaning into that and protecting those rights. That's really, really important to me. So that's kind of who I am. Those are my values. I know when I jumped in, also to say that Mark Gamba, who ran last time, a real champion, he very kindly called me when the new maps came out. And so the old maps were kind of Clackamas County, east-west over the coast. Now the new maps go up into the southern part of Portland, Clackamas County, Marion, Lynn County, which used to be in DeFazio's district, then over into Central Oregon. And Mark gave me a call and said, "Hey, you need to look at this because you're really strongly positioned to run." So I'll talk about the run in just a minute. But when I jumped in, Kurt, and I'm running against Kurt Schrader, and he tried to dismiss me, saying, "Oh, I'm running to the left of him." Well, heck yeah, and I'm proud of that. But the fact of the matter is, he's moved so far to the right that running to the left of him simply means you're a Democrat. And making sure that we step up. He's been beholden to, he's a big pharma heir. He's been beholden to big pharma and the fossil fuel industry and Koch brothers. Even he gets a lot of money from all of them. And so speaking up and not representing the community as opposed to those corporate PACs is really important to me. I was first elected to a city council back in 2004, and I've never taken corporate PAC money because I've always believed in accessibility, that I should be accessible to my constituents and not just to big corporations. So again, we have many challenges in front of us, but we also have the opportunity to really lean into it and get the job done and work together to do that. It just takes rolling up our sleeves and working really hard. There's two things that are the argument here for me. One is that I'm the best positioned Dem to actually win this district, and that includes a comparison to Kurt. And the second is that my values, what I stand for, and my track record better represents what we need in the district. So let me speak to that first point, because that's the issue that Kurt has raised or challenged on. Because he's gotten away with telling people they have to kind of hold their nose, telling Democrats they have to hold their nose and vote for him in the past, but it's not the case now. So first of all, this new district is over half of the new 5 is totally new to him. There's only a 47% overlap. So he's essentially not an incumbent in over half the district. And now a third of the likely voters are in Deschutes County, where I've won every time I've been on the ballot in Deschutes County. I actually beat Greg Walden in Deschutes County in 2018. Kurt has underperformed by what is now the win margin in his new district. And that's a real flag. And that was before last year, where he took votes that just appalled so many. His lynching comment, I mean, his, voting against Medicare, negotiating prescription drug prices, stripping so many things out of the infrastructure bill and Build Back Better. So he's really broken trust. And then again, the strengths I've had actually a lot of folks who used to support him have said, just even if they know him personally, they've said, nothing personal against him, but it's time for new leadership. It's time for someone who understands the urgency of now and can get the job done. And so I've got a lot of crossover endorsements, which I'm really proud of. And then also just positioning Democrats to win. This is going to be a really tough year. And making sure that people are excited, we're getting good voter turnout. That was the case actually back in 2018. We had the largest voter swing of any congressional race in the entire country, just in our little rural CD2. And that really helped a lot of other elections up and down the ballot. And so getting people, we saw what happened in Virginia when voters aren't excited, and we don't want that to happen again. So I've also got a great team. We put together a really good ground game. And so we're doing all the things we need to do to win this race. So that's it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any questions folks have, but thanks for your time. I know you guys have been sharing some of our information, so thanks for that. And I would love to get your endorsement support individually and as a group. If that's something y'all consider.
I think you'll have it by the end of this meeting. Okay, who has questions? No one? All the questions were answered.
Thank you for your strong effort, and really appreciate it.
Yeah. So assuming that you get to November, who do you think might be running on the Republican side for the new district?
Yeah, well, there's the two folks that I've seen emerge most are the former mayor of Happy Valley, and then also a gentleman, a businessman from Bend. And so for the two of them, I think even just the matchup against them is I would do a better matchup than Kurt would. I also, they both are strong Trump supporters. And, I think it'll allow for real clear distinction. Again, in 2018, we had a lot of crossover voters because we were talking about solutions, talking about the basic things that people care about. Wildfire recovery and that background is really strong, but also covering the basics for folks and the language and the focus that we've had. I've been successful in rural areas on passing policies and getting things moving forward. So I'm pretty confident that it will be a targeted race. No doubt about that. This as a D+2 is a slightly Dem leaning race. This is going to be one of the targeted ones nationwide. Part of it will get ugly. Horrible things will be said about me. I always like when I'm attacked really badly because that means the other side's really nervous. And often we'll see people just double down and you know, stick together and get the job done kind of thing. So, but we've got those two individuals. Crumpacker, I'm sorry, I didn't give you the names. Crumpacker is the
He's very articulate.
and he I've got her name. Can someone help me with? I'm just spacing on her name right now. It's
From Happy Valley.
yeah, it's
Libra might know.
I actually don't know, but I know you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about the former mayor. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
yeah, and it's let me see, it's Lori Chavez Reamer. That's it. And it used to be Lori Reamer, but she's recently added the Chavez.
Mhm.
But yeah, she's a former mayor.
Her name,
No, she probably,
didn't use it and then she does.
right.
That's right.
Because she wants to get Hispanic folks.
That's,
You know,
I mean, we've got a track record of working with the Latino, the Latinx Hispanic community that we can happy to talk to.
You said Latinx, that's,
It's in terms of the language, I usually I respond and go with whatever the community is looking. You know, I respond to people's identity as they bring it forward. I mean, there's some folks who like the term Latinx, some people like Latino, some people like Hispanic. It's just, you know, it's that self-identity thing. It's the same with the LGBTQ community.
And I must apologize. I made a terrible mistake. We're endorsing county people tonight. We're restricted by the DPO on congressional candidates against incumbents until after the primary. Isn't that right, Peter?
Actually, typically that's what the Democratic Party, Clackamas County follows, but you are an individual PAC, Jen.
Oh, okay.
But OTD has taken that position, although individuals have, or could be encouraged strongly to support you, Jamie.
Mhm. Right.
That's been our position in the past.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The one argument that I will make for you for your consideration is if someone is only an incumbent less than half the district are the incumbent. There's no doubt, of course, that Kurt is a sitting member of Congress, but this question of incumbency, given that the districts are so dramatically different, I would argue that if, and especially less than half the district, that there's a question of true incumbency on that. So I will just share that for your consideration.
Okay.
It's not about being an incumbent. It's if there's two Democrats in a primary that are, you know, competing, that we have had that position, but we have definitely are open to discussion about. We can still discuss that. We've been pretty hard and fast in that for many years. But I think the idea, again, that we can emphasize support definitely in other ways besides.
So one of the things we're doing is a lot of social media. We will be expanding that. And as you see, we've been working with a number of your items, and anything you send us would be helpful. Any videos, other information.
Well, thank you so much. And you can always, so the information for my campaign is jamiefororegon.com. So if folks would be willing to also consider individual endorsements, also contributions, is all critically important. If you need to reach out to me directly, it's jamie@jamiefororegon.com. And so thanks for your time. And then mostly, I really appreciated showing up and being able to have the conversation, but mostly I really showed up to hear Libra Ford speak because I'm such a huge fan of hers. And so.
Okay, well, thank you, Jamie. And
Jen,
here's
stop the
Libra.
recording and restart, please.
Yes.
File size.
Now I don't find the recording. Oh, there it is. There it is.